Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a really fascinating and honestly quite sensitive concept. We're unpacking the profound paradigm shift presented in Harold Stevens' 2026 book, Als jij lijdt voor mij, which translates to If You Suffer for Me. We are going to explore exactly why loved ones mirror suffering. We're looking at why the physical or emotional pain of those we care about the most might actually be a loving, unconscious reflection of our own hidden struggles. It's just a completely different lens through which to view illness and emotional distress within our closest relationships.
So let's start with a story, a very personal, vulnerable one from the author himself. Stevens recalls this summer day in Spain where his daughter developed a really persistent earache. On the surface, it seemed like your standard run-of-the-mill childhood bug. But Stevens noticed something pretty profound. The earache just wasn't responding to any medicine. In fact, it miraculously healed only after he finally acknowledged and spoke out loud about a hidden inner conflict of his own. He realized right then and there that her physical pain was actually mirroring an emotional tension he just hadn't faced yet. Crazy, right?
Part 1. The Mirror of Suffering, a Paradigm Shift in Healing.
That one summer day in Spain literally changed everything for Stevens. It led him to view suffering through an entirely new framework. Instead of seeing illness or emotional pain in a loved one as just, bad luck or some random punishment, he began to see it as a silent, unconscious act of love. He actually draws on ancient wisdom for this, like that famous Khalil Gibran quote, "Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding." Stevens is suggesting that our own unacknowledged trauma, our suppressed emotions, might act as a hidden catalyst, essentially causing a loved one's illness. The illness itself becomes an invitation. It's asking us to figure out what this shared suffering is desperately trying to communicate to the whole family unit.
Part 2. Innocent versus guilty pain. Understanding the difference.
Now you might be thinking, wait, is it my fault if my partner is sick? Let's stop right there. To grasp this concept without falling into the trap of self-blame, because this is absolutely not about making healthy partners or parents feel guilty, we have to distinguish between two very different states of suffering. On the left, we have what Stevens calls schuldig Leiden, or guilty suffering. This is the pain that comes from our own actions, when we make choices that go against our deepest conscience or our own path. But on the right, we have unschuldig Leiden, innocent suffering. And this is when someone innocently carries a physical or emotional burden that acts as a message about someone else's inner conflict. The person suffering hasn't done anything wrong at all. They're simply acting as a vessel.
Part 3. Children as loyal messengers. The unconscious bond.
Okay, have you ever noticed how a highly tense, stressful week at work suddenly turns into your child coming down with a mysterious fever? Driven by pure instinctual love, a child will silently take on a parent's unexpressed emotional weight. And the fascinating part is that this isn't just an abstract spiritual theory. It's a surprising fact validated by established analytical psychology. Psychosomatic mirroring is actually a frequently observed clinical phenomenon. Take this powerful quote from Carl Jung. What is rejected from the self appears in the world as an event. The child quite literally becomes the canvas for the parent's unacknowledged struggles.
Think about kids for a second. They are so raw, right? They haven't built up all those thick, defensive layers of socially desirable behavior that we adults use to mask our true feelings. Because of that, their bodies act as a direct channel. Physical symptoms literally become the language of the soul. They turn unspoken family tensions, like unexpressed grief or hidden resentment, into tangible physical complaints. We're talking about things like mysterious stomach aches, recurrent ear infections, or even chronic fatigue.
Part 4. Energetic Bonds in Partners, the two channels of communication.
But hey, this dynamic doesn't stop at childhood. It extends deeply into adult relationships too. Stevens references ancient theological texts like the concept of Ha-Adam, which actually describes partners as a single unified energetic being. Because of this profound soul-deep bond, we communicate on two distinct channels. First, you've got the channel of feeling. That's our intuitive, open heart connection. Second, there's the channel of the senses, what we outwardly say and show to the world. So when one partner hides an inner conflict behind a fake smile, they create this severe dissonance. The heart feels the hidden tension, but the eyes see a lie. Imagine the exhaustion of dealing with that. This massive mismatch can actually manifest as literal physical disease in the partner who is absorbing those mixed signals.
Stevens uses this really striking metaphor that I just love for explaining the danger of ignoring this.
He says that treating a sick partner medically while completely ignoring this energetic mismatch in the home is like treating someone's asthma while leaving them to live in a highly polluted city. You're giving them an inhaler, sure, but you're completely ignoring the toxic air they are breathing every single day. The environment where the illness originates and thrives is being totally ignored, while the other half of the problem is sitting right there on the living room couch.
Part 5. Healing through shared awareness, becoming whole.
So, what is the ultimate goal here? It's empathetic objectivity. It's an invitation to look inward together rather than pointing fingers at each other. To really get this, we have to separate two concepts that are so often confused. There is the clinical concept of curing, which is simply fixing a physical symptom to get back to a baseline of normal. And then there is true healing. Healing is an inner movement. It's about acknowledging what was previously suppressed. It's about becoming whole and finding profound peace with reality, which can happen even if a physical symptom ultimately remains. When we follow these core principles, the entire dynamic in a relationship completely shifts. If you acknowledge the pain without judgment and start seeing suffering as a messenger instead of a punishment, the healthy partner's self-reflection becomes just as vital as the sick partner's medicine. Shared responsibility naturally leads to shared healing. You're basically closing the circle of suffering through deep connection, rather than isolation.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question from Harold Stevens. It's a bit confronting, but honestly, it's beautiful. He asks, what is this suffering trying to tell me? We invite you to look at the pain in your life not as an enemy you have to fight, but as a silent, waiting guide. The next time someone you love falls ill, will you just look for a quick fix? Or will you have the courage to pause and ask what hidden truth their body is desperately trying to reveal to you?